Hey, it's Alicia Sweeney here with you for another Indie 1023 Sessions at Home. Joining me is Kiwi Jr. The band is Jeremy, Broen, Mike, and Brian. You can't actually see Brian. His video isn't working right now, but hello, Brian.
Hey.
The band is joining me to chat about their new album that came out in January. It's called Cooler Returns on Sub Pop Records. Plus, I want to address life in Canada during lockdown. I just want to talk about great music as well. And that kind of starts with your guys' music. The Kiwi Jr. sound has been described as slacker pop or jangle punk, which I can totally get behind those descriptions, but it's just to me like straight up indie rock and roll. I think the new album is so much fun, and just congratulations on the new release.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So you're all in Toronto right now?
Yeah.
How's life in lockdown going for you? Like, tell me the story over this past year, because looking back, I think you guys were just getting done touring outside of Canada. I think you were in England on tour, then you come back, and then all of a sudden, global pandemic.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We did have a bunch of dates lined up and plans for the spring, including going back to the UK, and then we were going to go down to the US for a bit, but we had to cancel those, obviously, so did everybody. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we had to put our recording plans on hold for a while too. But then the numbers in Toronto actually were really good, and we were able to make it work this summer. And then they opened everything back up, and the numbers are bad again. So we're back on lockdown. But at least there was that brief window where we got to write and record the record.
Yeah, talk to me about that time, you all being able to get together. And was this whole sophomore album born during the pandemic then?
It was all recorded, and about half of it was written, maybe less than half of it was written during the pandemic. Some of the songs we'd had for a little while and got to play those ones live. But yeah, about half the record we wrote and recorded during the pandemic. So there's a lot of songs that we haven't gotten a chance to play live yet, which is too bad.
Yeah. Have you guys done the live stream thing?
No.
Yeah, what I'm hearing with the tone of your voice that's not something that sounds exciting for you guys.
Yeah, I don't think it's really our thing. I don't know if our sort of live show would translate very well via Zoom or whatever it is that they use.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen any really good ones.
Yeah, me neither.
That look, like something we could do. Any of the kind of indie rock. I saw, who did I see? I won't name names, but I saw some, and they were like, the performances were good, but it just looked a little, it's just kind of stale a bit, I think. And no, also, we haven't done it yet.
Yeah, and there's also that element of, the energy that you guys get from playing live that you receive from the audience. So just sort of playing as if you were in the studio recording an album, it seems quite different,
We'll have to put everyone on gallery mode so that we can see them if we ever play one.
Exactly. Well, let's go back to October 2020. That's kind of when you guys first got on my radar in a big way. Sub Pop Records announced to us here in the States that they signed you. They released your single Undecided Voters, which was just perfect before the election here in the US. First of all, how did it feel to sign to Sub Pop Records, and how did that all happen?
I think they just heard our first record, Football Money, and they liked it and reached out. So it was pretty simple how it all happened. I think they reached out, was it like May of 2020?
Yeah, it was spring of last year.
Yeah. And yeah, they kind of went ahead with signing us, even though there was a pandemic and we were not able to tour or anything, which was pretty remarkable, but they're great. we love them.
Yeah, it's such an iconic label. And we loved playing, especially around the election time, Undecided Voters. It really resonated with our audience. We had it in heavy rotation here in Denver. Talk to me about writing that song.
Well, we had that song probably like 2.5 years ago. So it was just kind of a coincidence that it came out around this time of the U.S. election. So it wasn't as is commonly conceived that we tried to go out and write a political song for the election. We'd been playing it live for like a couple of years, but there was bound to be an election somewhere when it came out. So
At some point, there will be an election. Yeah.
it just happened that it was the big one.
Yeah, in America, it's pretty much an ongoing election, right? There's like the off elections every 2 years or every year.
Yeah, those offices that switch out every 2 years. I know, and there's always like a high school election or something happening somewhere.
District attorney or whatever.
It's true. It's true. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the record. I picked up on a few Robin Hood references when I first started listening to Cooler Returns. So talk to me about this. Okay, I hear Maid Marian getting name dropped in the Maid Marian's Toast song, which that's such an awesome song. And then I hear like Sherwood Forest, like when I'm listening to Cooler Returns a couple songs later. Am I picking up on a Robin Hood vibe?
Yeah, definitely. I think there might be like one more. I think there's only 2 or 3 anyway. But Mike and I grew up playing hockey for the Sherwood Falcons. That's the community we're from. And so like if you drive around Sherwood, there's like all these different little, I don't know, hokey mom and pop names that reference Robin Hood and stuff like that. And yeah, some of that just came out in the songwriting process. It wasn't something that, I had on my list of things I really wanted to write about on the record, but it just kind of popped up a few times.
Oh, so it's a little nod to where you're from, not necessarily the detailed.
Yeah, and Brian's actually dressed up like Robin Hood right now. You just can't.
He's gonna do a big reveal, right?
Yeah.
That's why he has his audio or his video off right now.
He's got the green tights on and everything.
Yeah, it's not the cool Russell Crowe Robin Hood. It's like
it's the men in tights.
Yeah.
Men. Well, let's talk a bit about the making of the album. You guys said that you were able to get together and record it during this past year. What was studio time like for you? Did you all do it yourself?
Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just going to say we got a nice studio. We definitely didn't do anything ourselves. But yeah, we were in there for about off and on for 2 weeks, I think. And yeah, at the start, it was a little bit weird because, normally when we're recording, you might bring in a friend or somebody to, play a keyboard line or something like that. Or there's just always people kind of, stopping by to give a extra listen and second set of ears. But that was definitely not happening. Our engineer was wearing a mask the whole time and we weren't allowed to go in his room. We had masks on when we could. So it started out a little different, but then you got used to it after like a couple days.
Yeah, it's just sort of the new normal.
Yeah, and then when we were mixing the record, we did 2 or 3 days where we set up like this outdoor space with these half decent computer speakers and like a laptop and got a handful of edits that made the record done in our engineer's backyard. That was kind of fun.
That sounds fun. That sounds memorable from the whole recording process. Tell me about a couple other memorable moments for you guys working on getting this album out, whether it was the recording part or maybe writing it or.
I'm just imagining Broen on that little scooter thing. I don't know if someone else wants to tell that story, but the whole preparation for the record was so much fun. Again, because we had been in lockdown, and then that was loosened a little bit, and we were allowed to kind of get together. And so, getting together every evening and playing music was just such respite from everything that was going on. And that part was just amazing. It's weird to be almost nostalgic over something that just happened, but it's, when you're not able to do that, it's just
Mm-hmm.
So that.
What do they call those things? It's called like a hoverboard.
Yeah, I think it's a hoverboard.
Yeah.
The like rectangle shaped thing on two wheels that goes around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one of those for some reason. Somebody left one in the rehearsal space, and so Broen was cruising around on that all the time. That's what Mike was talking about.
He tried to perfect his dart game while riding a hoverboard.
Yeah, there was a dartboard there too. New sport invented this summer.
2021 Olympics, maybe. So how?
I'd love to qualify.
Yeah. Did you end up getting a hoverboard after this?
No, I'll leave that to the children.
He wasn't allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like how you tell your stories, Jeremy, and your songs. Are you the primary songwriter, or do you guys?
I write all the lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, the songwriting in general, though, happens a few different ways in our band. Like, there are songs that Broen has written most of the chords on, and Mike has written the main riffs and stuff like that. But yeah, we do most of our arranging and songwriting together.
Mm-hmm. Was Cooler Returns written during the pandemic, or was this one of your before songs?
That's kind of in between, I think. We had the kind of the broad arrangement of it figured out, but there was still some fine tuning that we did during the pandemic. Half the lyrics were probably finished in the spring and summer. But that's another one that we haven't gotten to play live yet. And that's probably a good thing because it's exhausting to play. There's a million chord changes happening throughout the verses.
So when touring resumes one day, will you master it, or is that just going to be one that people will only hear on the record?
No, Kiwi masters any song live.
It's always just a mad dash to the end, but no, it'll for sure be in our set list, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
It was always longer as well. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We had always jammed it for considerably longer as well. When we got into the actual recording of it, we trimmed it down considerably. So that'll be fun to try to come to an agreement about where it should sit when we start to play it live again.
Yeah.
It's still the longest song on the record too, I think, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 3. Is it over 4 minutes?
No.
I don't think anything's over 3.5.
Which that's kind of the perfect pop song length, right? Like you want it in that time. Or jangle pop, or whatever genre people slap on you. I noticed online people will compare you to Modern Lovers or Pavement, and I think those are totally fitting. I also hear a little bit of beat happening when I listen to your music. I'm huge, I've always loved them. Who were some of your musical inspirations when you guys were getting started?
That's funny you say beat happening, because when the band first started, it was just Broen and I. It was just guitar and drums, and I really wanted to do sort of a beat happening thing, like some of the more softer beat happening stuff, like the later beat happening records.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then once Mike joined, he screwed all that up, and we turned into a blues band.
It turned into Cooler Returns. Yeah.
Which I gotta say, the album name Cooler Returns, and the song is great, but just the idea of Cooler Returns during a pandemic, that's a vibe for me, 100%.
That's funny. Yeah, we had the title. That was the first title for the LP that we had a year ago, probably 2 years ago even, maybe.
Yeah, and we're like, you can't call it that.
Yeah. And then we came up with some terrible LP2 ideas, and so eventually went back to it.
What was an album name that didn't make the cut?
Browan has a bunch in his phone. I remember.
Yeah, I don't know if those are suitable for on air, but
Uh-huh. All right, just one.
no, there were some really like dark ones that were like. Remember for a while we were like, let's call the album like Heartache and Sorrow,
Oh yeah,
which
that
is
was
like the opposite.
I wanted to call it Heartache and Sorrow.
Yeah,
Kind of glad I didn't, but
yeah, I'm pretty glad we didn't call it that.
Yeah, I hear that. So what music are you guys loving right now, just personally? You know, we're living these lives where we are at home, where we are on lockdown, and we're, at least for me, I'm so digital, you know. I feel like my life revolves around I'm watching something or listening to something. Have you guys discovered any rad music lately? Or your buddies putting out cool new tunes?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not listening to as much music as I was when I used to have to go to work and take the subway every day and stuff.
Yeah.
Now that I'm at home, like I find, I don't know, I don't have that drive to like constantly have headphones on like I do when I'm at work and stuff.
Mhm.
I just heard Ween for the first time. Somebody just made me a Ween playlist, a band that I've ignored on purpose for a really long time.
And
Yeah, I heard like 3 songs so far. It's not bad.
You're not sold.
I like their country album. Check out their country record if you're at, or you know, maybe they put. I'm sure they put some country album on there.
Yeah, I just heard a country one. I can't say the name of it on radio, but
Blank up a rope.
what?
The one about blank up a rope.
No, it's about swinging something in the wind.
Yeah, totally.
I only know that Ween song that's like put a little daisy to make them come up or whatever.
Yeah, I heard that one too.
That's the only Ween song that I know. I think
I like that.
it's a
All
good
right.
song. Yeah.
So Ween, are you guys? So any cool music that you want to recommend, or are you into podcasts right now, or maybe watching something cool?
I'm not recommending Ween, by the way. I don't. I'm not saying it's bad, but I don't want the takeaway from this interview to be that I'm a huge fan.
That you're a Ween fanatic.
Jeremy is a Ween. Yeah.
I don't know what else. I don't know if I've been listening to much new stuff. It's always the same old records that I go back to.
Mm-hmm.
I have a They Might Be Giants playlist that I listen to like 5 times a week. That's kind of been my lockdown vibes.
I just got a press release today about them heading out on tour, and when I looked at the dates, it's for like, you know, summer of 2022. What's your guys' take up north? When do you think touring will resume for you guys?
2022 sounds feasible. It's weird. Like, I think, I don't know, maybe agents are a little bit bored because they're really chomping at the bit to get tours booked, but for this year, but it doesn't seem super feasible or super likely. But yeah, 2022 maybe.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling too. I don't know, but that's just.
I just don't think, I'm curious as to who would want to go, you know, like it's one thing to book the show, but it's another thing to have people actually want to be there and feel comfortable and all that stuff.
Yeah, I feel that. If you could play a concert anywhere, where would it be?
New Jersey.
Like Asbury Park?
I'm just kidding.
There's a world famous pinball warehouse with like thousands of vintage pinball machines in Asbury Park across the street from Stone Pony. So that'd be up there for me.
That's cool. We got some good vintage pinball here in Denver, by the way, when you guys come on tour 2021 or 2022 cool. Or whenever, if you guys want to check that out.
We'd love to go to Denver.
Yeah, it's a super rad city and we love you guys here. So is there anybody that you would like to tour with at this point? You know, like has being signed to Sub Pop made you discover some new artists or be on the roster with some artists that you're like, hey, I want to go on the road with them? Or when you hit the road, is it you want to get out with your buds?
We haven't done a lot of touring as a band, right? So I don't know. It's pretty new to us. So I'm not sure what the best approach would be. Do you go with people that you're friends with and risk getting sick of them, or do you need like friendship support on the road? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. With such a digital life right now, I'm wondering, how have you guys responded to it with connecting with people who want to hear your music?
It's been tricky. We're constantly being told that we need to post on social media way more.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying. We're just like so bad at it. We should hire an intern.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. That's mainly been like what we've been doing. It's just like sharing stuff on Instagram whenever we can. Yeah.
I
don't
noticed.
know.
I noticed that you guys like. I feel like you guys sling a lot of merch, like through some of the Instagram story or Instagram photos that I've seen of your guys. It seems like you're making a lot of trips to the post office, which is a good thing. And one thing that I have appreciated during this weird time is Bandcamp doing their Bandcamp Fridays to make sure that musicians get 100% of the funds when their music is purchased. Has this been beneficial for you guys?
Absolutely, yeah. It's pretty much the only source of revenue we have right now, because there's, without touring is such a big part of a band's revenue that the Bandcamp stuff has helped a lot. Yeah, we're always trying to like keep have like fresh new T-shirt ideas and stuff like that to keep people interested.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for sure, big part.
And
Yeah.
we're running the Canadian distribution as well on our own end. So that's been kind of a new experience for us. We had been with Mint Records beforehand, who were great, but yeah, trying to do it on our own's been kind of funny. You can ask Brian more about packaging records and T-shirts up.
Steep learning curve.
Yeah, sure. Has it been enjoyable? Like what's like doing, as an independent band, like you are doing a lot of this stuff yourself and everything. What has been your favorite part of the DIY aspect of getting your music out there?
I think Brian is really, coming to his own as a T-shirt salesman. I think.
Are you doing the design also, Brian?
No, not at all.
I love the art.
Yeah, the art was we have a few friends who are like really talented designers and illustrators. Yeah, no, it's definitely not me.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, Brian.
Yeah, add it to the resume. Learn the skill during quarantine, right? Have you guys picked up any new skills during quarantine?
Ooh.
Like cooking or?
Would love to say yes.
To-do list of you thought you would have done by now.
I wanted to learn Spanish, but I failed miserably.
Yeah.
I hit a brick wall about 3 weeks in.
You struggle with the two form.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about Spotify? Has Spotify been good for you? I always like to hear musicians' takes on it. I think a friend said it's like every 7,500 listens to your music, you get about $5.
Oh, that much, eh? I thought it was less than that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 5,000.
I thought it was.
I don't know. There's just like no avoiding that stuff. So you kind of just have to, there was, who was it like that is final? I just read today somebody is finally on streaming that like was one of the last holdouts. I can't remember, some band.
Mm-hmm.
Metallica?
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, anyway. But even like, I remember when Drag City's catalog went on streaming, like that was like last year or something. And I was like, okay, if they're on Spotify, then like that's kind of it. Everybody's gonna be on Spotify. And I use Spotify. It's just easy. It sucks to say, but
It's definitely it's not great, obviously, for compensating artists, but it is great for, you get put on playlists, and the algorithm kind of puts you into the ears of a lot more listeners, like versus people buying the records in record stores. Not that that's not great too, but it does help sort of reach a broader audience worldwide, especially if you're not touring.
yeah.
We hear from our listeners a lot, like when they listen to the radio and if they like your song, somebody will write us and be like, oh, I Shazammed that band. And then they'll say like, oh, I went on to Spotify. So it like starts from maybe like in my little world, like hearing it on the radio and then Shazamming it and then going to Spotify. And then hopefully you make that lifelong fan and then they buy the vinyl or the digital album. But yeah, it is convenient that way.
The one app to the next.
I know. It is kind of that for real. Well, it's been
Does
such a...
Shazam work with live music? Like if you were at a concert?
I've seen people hold it up at concerts before. I think
Not when we're playing.
Unrecognizable.
It has to be in tune for it to work.
yeah, I think I remember being at like a St. Vincent concert or something and somebody had it up and I was like, why are they Shazamming that song? Everybody knows that song, but that's just me.
They're confused about who they're watching. They're not sure where they are.
Yeah,
You could also just ask anybody else in the room.
Right?
You go to a Paul McCartney concert and Shazam "Let It Be."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you went to the concert alone, maybe you're too embarrassed to ask.
Maybe you don't speak the language.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe your two form is a little rusty.
Well, it's been a treat talking with you guys, and I wish you all the best. And thank you for sharing your time with me. And we're enjoying the album Cool Returns at Indie 1023.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Alicia.
Yeah, it's been great to hang out. And this has been another session at home from Indie 1023. All right. Ciao, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.